Hey everybody, welcome back to Smash Talk episode 4, and this is segment 3 here with Strides Vance Edmond, and unfortunately, CT Lux on the microphone for you all. Or
Unfortunately.
fortunately, I don't know. But we're
Fortunately, I
going to
think
talk about
fortunately.
a fun topic actually coming through because, if you think back on the history of Smash Talk, we opened up with, does SoCal suck? And my hope and, my belief is that some of the recent results have kind of answered the call and said with a resounding no, SoCal does not suck because we've had some, unranked players on the rise. We talk about some prominent results coming out of Evo with a lot of the SoCal players doing really well. Like Toski taking out Tyroy, stretching all the way through to recently, um, what was it, Pandarian falling to some of SoCal players, the best in
Cyro.
Yeah.
Washington, yeah, Cyro making it happen. There's been a wide gamut of
Oh my
different
god.
results, so we want to highlight some of the
Master
unsung
Mario.
heroes.
Master Mario.
Master
Hello.
Mario.
Yeah.
Let me go out. Let me go ahead and shout out my two fellow 818 players, and of course my one non-fellow 818 player, but I think it's kind of honorary 818 because it was in the Valley. It was in
Mhm.
Hollywood. Suga got fifth at MSM. We had HOB
Yeah.
beating out Charlie.
Mhm.
At MSM, we had Not Joel, who actually a fellow Link main, really great friend of mine. He also beat Sweet Tea past MSM. These are three good examples from my region. Of course, like we said, we saw Toski beat Tyroy at Evo. We saw Nintendo. I think he was like
Yeah.
Oh, dude, how
Yeah.
did I
Like top
forget? How did I,
33. Yeah, he
top
carried it.
dude?
Yo,
33. Yeah,
Nintendo, the hero.
How did I forget about
yeah.
Nintendo? He's like
25th
one
at
of the
Evo,
25th
bro.
at
Yeah.
Evo,
yeah,
beating out Kome. Okay, not just any Shockman, like one of these Shockmans.
N-
yeah, and that matchup sucks.
Yeah,
I think
and
that matchup sucks
I think it does
for
too.
Duck Hunt.
Other notable mentions, I know like YMCA also.
YMCA has been on doing pretty good.
He
Ketchup got
also
ninth.
he got like YMCA got the highest placing DK at
Yeah,
Evo. He got
Yeah,
65th, I
he,
think,
he
something like
beat
that.
he beat Vin, which
Yeah.
he told me he thought he was just gonna get destroyed. He was gonna go Wario, but he won with DK.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had
T3 Dome winning
T3
Wednesday night
Dome.
fights recently,
Yeah.
Yeah,
taking out Con and Nitro simultaneously.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
we also have
I was surprised about the Nitro win, not the Con win. That matchup was so
Yeah,
bad.
that matchup sucks.
yeah. We had Ketchup who did ninth at Breakthrough. I mean, of course, Breakthrough was mostly in SoCal, but like that's definitely a player who's also I tell people to like watch out for. He's coming up slowly but on the rise for sure. We had Valadin still super dominant at
Oh
Hollywood
yeah,
Action
dude, I
Tuesdays.
I can't believe he's not on the PR actually.
I
Like he's
still
one of
can't
those
believe it's
people
not
that
butter, but man, sometimes life goes on.
he's
Sometimes you're on a roll.
yeah.
But
Oh, don't say. Oh my god.
Muffin from Mars, he beat Jump Steady at a hat too. He's also
mhm.
been leveling up a little bit. I mean, they did talk about how it was a little bit of Lucas bust, but I mean, him knowing the character is a huge part of it as well. So I
Yeah,
mean,
even with both,
the
his
SoCal
character's
Unranked
not gonna
dude.
get killed.
I mean, this PR season looking a little shaky because a lot of the players are pretty absent.
Mhm.
S2H hasn't been doing so well. We have Jumpsteady who's still been doing pretty consistent. K9 somewhat absent. Charlie's got a few wins at Ascension that are doing pretty well. Cyro's been doing really well. Key is nowhere to be seen. I think every time we get like a snake main in SoCal, they just disappear for some forsaken reason. Like we had Johnny Westside, he was ranked, then he was like, "All right, I got my PR, I'm out." And then Key is
It's
like,
Snake. I'm done here, dude.
"Yeah,
That's what
it's
he says.
yeah." He's and then Key got ranked. He's like,
Yeah.
I got ranked over J West. All right, I'm out." And then like we've just been losing a lot of players in general. I feel like sometimes motivation's low for some of the top players,
Mhm.
but that has also, I mean, Lumbre, I mean, definitely one of those players also who I tell people like is a really great player. Spanky from the IE, also really good, like big threat. A lot of player like, oh my god, that's the best one. I'm hip became I'm dip after the nerfs of Olimar. Shout out to
I heard he's
PSI.
working on a top tier.
Shout out to PSI guy for
Joker.
that one.
All right, so the question I have, like, as we're going off the roll call of members, is the rise of some of these unranked player being fueled just solely by the absence of the upper echelons of the power ranking,
No, no,
or
I
is the
don't
gap
think so.
closing?
Okay,
Strides, strides. I
I
want to
want
hear
to I want
strides.
to hear strides because
Yeah,
it's very contrary to what I think most people believe.
Wait, what? No,
strides is
I'm
on
No,
strides,
saying.
strides is on a roll this
I-
podcast, bro. He's been
yeah,
talking.
dude,
Like,
he has opinions, bro.
yeah.
No, I don't think it's just because like the top players aren't going to things because it just means that like on the lower part of the PR, if you're like in that five, the lower five, maybe even 10 range, you're not safe. And for me, that shows that it's good. That like the lower range is always changing. Because like if we had like a PR with 20 people and like only the bottom like 3 people changed each season, that would show that wow, that's not good. That means the lower level players aren't really catching up to the bottom half. But now I see that like the lower half can actually compete with the lower or like the bottom five and even some of the top four, as you said. So I don't know. I think that's really good. It's like the lower level is getting better slowly. So that's good.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like comes down to like the topic we had with Jay Tels in the conversation we had a little bit earlier. Like, um, I've been hanging out with Suga and now last HLB. We've always talked about how HLB is like one of the best players out there. He just doesn't go to anything but Worlds Collide. Nodule also a really great player. He doesn't really go anything aside from Worlds Collide. So and Suga honestly also a great player. He goes to a lot of tournaments for sure. He's been like sharking a couple locals, but also like he's always a player who's always on the grind, always looking for a fest to practice some things. I think it's just a lot of that. Like a lot of these players who have been not necessarily absent, but just haven't gotten their chance to sign. I've always talked about how some of these players like Valadin and Muffin from Mars are two really great players, and all they are missing is just a season where they can definitely show up and do their stuff and show to the world that like hey, we practice our tech, we put in our hours, we clock in our 9 to 5, we are worthy of that PR, and let us show our stuff. We're more than just the 4-2 or the 5-2 warrior. We're definitely players that you guys should watch out for, and they've been putting in a lot of work, honestly.
So I'm sorry, Vance.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I think is going on. So for a while there, we had the whole SoCal sucks movement, right? And I think a lot of people really bought into that narrative. Even people outside of our region bought into that narrative. And now we have this perception that SoCal really does suck. And people, we used to be regarded as like a top one region. Now it's like, we're SoCal. Our top players, our top players aren't really getting top eights at majors, at the S tiers. And now we see a rise of our lower ranks, and I mean the people who aren't even on the PR. And I even had a conversation with Razo and Lumbre. Lumbre, another like our best NES players in SoCal, phenomenal, and Razo, who is actually ranked in SoCal, phenomenal player as well, but not one that you would consider a top player because he doesn't travel per se, right? Like we haven't seen what his results are outside of here, but here he places phenomenally. He beats our he'll I wouldn't count against him winning against Larry, Void, Elegant. Like those are within the realm of possibility. But they seem to, and I think this is like a sentiment that echoes the rest of the seem to think that our top players, being Larry, Void, and so on, they're not active in coming to our locals, and that doesn't allow for players to get that practice from them, not in bracket, not even if they were just sitting and playing friendlies. And I have to say I appreciated when Void came to MSM this past week, because even if he didn't enter, he was sitting there just playing friendlies the entire night. And I was like, so many people got to play Void then that normally wouldn't get to play Void because he's in the bracket, right? And it seems to be like the motivation for some of these players, these other like unranked players, is really been the fact that they have a perception that our top players aren't like performing as well, and that everyone else thinks we suck. So they really want to prove them wrong, right? They want to go against the grain, and they want to show that SoCal really doesn't suck. Like we're starting to shift from the era of SoCal sucks to the I just got a PGR win, unranked in SoCal, by the way.
SoCal right? Doesn't suck anymore. Yeah. Hashtag SoCal does not suck anymore.
Like, to add to context to that, like that was like pretty much like Pandarian saying like, I can only lose to like this is the ultimate, like, you want to be a villain but you shoot yourself short. You can't say I want to be a villain and then say I am a villain, but I can. But you know what? Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman can all beat me. But I am a great villain, by the way. You can't say that. You're either a villain. You're either a villain full time, or you're not a villain. I'm sorry, Pandarian. You shot yourself short for a villain. It would have been a villain if you could say, you know what? Nobody from SoCal can beat me. Then I would have been like, okay, cool. You're cool, kid. The problem is like nobody from SoCal can beat me except Void, Larry, and Elegant. Then Cyro comes in. He's like, "Hold the phone, fam. Hold my beer. Hold the phone. And while you're at it, hold the L because you know what? I'm ranked in SoCal. I'm not even PGR'd. Okay, I'm not even a top Roy because I wasn't in the Art of Roy video from Izal. I am just a Roy from SoCal, and I still beat you. Hold the phone, man. Never sleep on the IE. Respect it. Learn from it, and
Oh my
game
god,
from it.
dude,
That's
there's a lot to unpack in that one, bro.
that's literally what happened in a nutshell.
God, bro.
Yeah,
He-
that he literally Pandarian didn't have to say anything. He just he literally I feel like that motivated Cyro to destroy him even more than anything else.
this is the kid who I had to watch at GTX do nothing but dash attack for 30 minutes and figure out like what is he doing different. Okay,
Yeah,
and
I think
Cyro,
Cyro's really good because he's consistently going up in the PR
yeah,
each season. So he's only going to go up from here, especially now that he has a really big win under his belt like that. So yeah, he's just another person that like he wasn't ranked in uh, Smash 4 at all, but like he's
no,
starting out of the gate in Ultimate really well, and he's still consistently improving.
he
So
wasn't.
like that's a good example
If I'm not
of
mistaken, he
someone that's
wasn't
doing good.
ranked, but he was a pretty strong Wi-Fi warrior. He was like
Mhm.
definitely one of those big, strong Falco mains in the Wi-Fi scene for sure. I remember like he came to a couple like locals and like I think a couple MSMs, and he like did really well with Falco. The thing is like he said like he was really young, so he couldn't be out too late. You know, being young, living in the Inland Empire, your parents, you know, when you live far from local and you have a curfew time and you're really young, it's really hard to travel. But I always tell people like I think even in Smash 4, and somebody laughed at me. I told them like, you know who I think could make a big wave when they come back is Cyro. Because I always tell people like I just remember seeing him at a local and he just did amazing with Falco. Like people were appalled by this Falco main. Now he's here in Ultimate and he's doing nothing but the very best that he can, and he's definitely out there showing it.
I think,
Yeah,
chiming in a
I
little
think
bit
there's a
on
lot of
it.
people like him.
Oh, sorry. Chiming in a
Sorry,
little
yeah,
bit.
I'm
I
saying
think
like
some of Oh, sorry. We're
yeah, I'm just
misfiring.
gonna say one
Go
thing.
Strides. Go
Yeah,
Strides.
no, but I think there's a lot of people that are like Cyro. Like maybe they just didn't get an opportunity in Smash 4, but
Mm-hmm.
they've been grinding like online at least or something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe with their group of people. And with Ultimate being out, and maybe like what like Edmund said, like start the whole SoCal sucks thing, whatever. And they
yeah.
got a thing to improve and really like prove me wrong, and everyone else would think that.
That's what I
So
tell
there's a lot of
people.
people that are like that.
I
But I don't know. I think that's good that there's more people that are like really grinding and trying to show how good the region is. Because that's what I thought. I thought that the top players are really good, but like the lower level is like a big gap because maybe they're just content with being there or where they're at, and they're just like, well, there's always going to be these people in SoCal that are really good, and we just gotta stay like where we're at. But now it doesn't seem that way because especially Master Mario. Master Mario did like super well at Evo. Even beat Larry.
He beat Larry. He beat Dark Wizzy. He
Yeah, even being Larry, who is one of the best players in SoCal like by default. So yeah, I don't know. I think he's a
Larry
good
not
player.
number 1 in SoCal anymore.
Yeah, well, not number one, but you know what I mean.
He's number 1 in my heart though.
I
But
think,
yeah,
infrastructurally speaking, I think the Inland Empire, the meme of "Don't sleep on the Inland Empire." I think at this point in time, it's safe to say that the
You
whatever
respect
they're
the Inland
doing, the
Empire.
tournament infrastructure wise and community infrastructure wise, is starting to pay off with just the amount of improvement that we've seen just out of that specific area with some of their players on the rise. It's actually pretty beautiful to see, and I wish a lot of the other areas in SoCal would take a similar approach. Just how they've been doing things. It's almost one of those out of necessity because they were so far away from the hub of the Orange County, LA area, for SoCal Smash. But to see some of their players with the opportunities that they've built on their own for themselves is, pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Um,
It's definitely has become like my personal favorite region to always watch and see what they can do because like like Toski beating out like Tyroid, that was like a really big deal because I was like, this is somebody who is I just met like a couple WNFs ago and like good friend of Arkister, and I like talked to him a few times, and then to see him beat Tyroid and to see him like, okay, even though Tyroid is in PGR, but this is a player with a high stature who has been known to like be really big. It's kind of nice to it's kind of like it's like watching your son grow in a sense. You know?
So the question is, what is separating the unranked players that we have now, which is, on the national, international, everybody but Void? What is separating those players from becoming nationally ranked? What do we have to do differently to restore the golden age of SoCal Smash and get multiple members onto the PGR?
Well, my general ideas hasn't changed from what I thought before, but it's getting better. But I still think that there should be less cliques of people that are on the same level playing each other and only each other, and more
Mhm.
people in the PR playing each other throughout the PR. Like if there was just a way outside of like a big tournament where to get like all the PR players there and just like grinding the game, that'd be really cool. And I think like Void's doing that now with his whole like I think it might be bi-weekly now, I'm not sure. But like his whole thing where he has like that big round robin with all like these PR
Hmm.
players in SoCal and like they're
Yeah.
all playing together over and over. Like if
Let's
there are
see.
more things
Mhm.
like that, I think it would be really good. But it's getting really good right now. But it can still be better. Like just getting a way for all the players to practice with each other outside a tournament.
We just need a
That's what I was thinking.
host PR summit, SoCal PR summit.
I feel like that's what we need.
Honestly, yes. Like not even
I
as
do
a
have a
joke.
problem
No,
though with
I
like
wasn't joking.
I
Yeah.
do have a problem with like one thing though, like in just not SoCal, but just in general, like when it comes to summits and voting. It's like my biggest like complaint is like whenever they do like a compendium and then they're like, oh, add these players to the compendium, and we all voted for Ketchup because we wanted to see him go there. Or we want Master Mario to go, but they put in Dark Wizards. Like, of course, in my opinion, honestly, if Dark Wizards is already sponsored, obviously makes enough, and chances are he's going. Why would you put him in a compendium? That should go to a player who has a lesser chance of going, like Mastermar, who does not have that much, who's not sponsored by at least a tier 2, tier 1 org,
Hey,
and who
but who got that 2-0 at Evo though?
exactly. And then now I'm like, he got the 2-0 at Evo, and shoot,
Wait,
I'm
is this about glitch? This is
yes,
about glitch
yes,
comparison,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah,
it
that's
is, and I do think it's unfair. Like, honestly, like when people were upset about the summit voting last summit round, they were like, "Tweak's not in the summit voting. Like, it's just influencers and YouTubers. Like, this doesn't feel like a summit. This doesn't feel like an invitational. This just feels like
YouTubers.
it feels like I'm just watching. What is it? What's the thing that Twitch has? I don't even. What's it called? Like Twitch Streamer Showdown. Yeah, it feels like I'm watching Streamer Showdown. You know?
Yeah, I can't say too much about that because I understand from business standpoint they
Yeah, of
have
course.
to give views, so they have to like sell out to the people that are gonna give them views, not necessarily the best players.
Yep.
But for SoCal in general, we don't have to do that. We don't have to just say, hey, let's just get all the super cool people that happen to live in SoCal, but they don't really go to tournaments, and they're like popular. Let's have them there. No, like I think what Edmund said makes a lot of sense. We literally have like a summit for maybe not all 20, but like 15 or something of the top players in SoCal, and then maybe like unranked player that's been doing really well, we get him in there too. Or like there's a vote between the unranked people, and like we just get them at a nice house. They're grinding the game for a weekend, and they're all like literally just grinding the game, talking to each other and everything. Like, if we have something like that, that'll be really cool. And I don't know. I think it's not impossible.
Yeah,
Get an
it's-
Airbnb. It's
and
doable.
it's like what
Yeah.
and it's like
It's
what they
definitely not impossible. It just
Yeah.
needs organization because all these players have different schedules. So it really just it's gonna be a matter of like a person spearheading that. I mean, and having the
Hey.
resources to do it. So if 2GG wants to maybe like I'd be down to collaborate on that. Like
I'm pretty sure my nonprofit would host it in a heartbeat
Well,
if they
yeah,
needed a building to make it happen.
Hey man,
I'll TO it, dude.
Yeah.
I'm excited to
I'll
see
be-
the
I'll
OC
be the
Goodwill
chaperone.
Invitational too. Well, that's the thing too. Is like iron sharpens iron, and a lot of these players,
Mhm.
we talk goes back to that subject with J-Tails, right? Like a lot of these players, I've watched HLB, he beat Charlie. I watched Nodule, he beat Sweet Tea. I've watched these two kids like, I've gone to like far away places. They've come over. I've had dinner with them. I've hung out with them. These are two players who I've always told, like, the reason they're great players. They just it's unfortunate that you only see them at one local, but that give them a chance and they'll make a wave. And definitely HOB's win over Charlie, and like I said, Nacho's win over Sweet Tea, that was something for them to show to everybody. Like, you know what, we're only at a local, but we're here to tell you that we have skill.
I think one thing that with the rise of some of the the mid-tier power ranked, low-tier power ranked, or just outside of the ranked groups, and them doing better tournament-wise, what I hope might start happening is some of the respect that they garner for having the results will help break down some of those clicks that Strides was talking about, and getting more players willing to play other players, as forms of viable training for that top level. So that, because that disconnect had always been, there were so few top players, and so everybody else is kind of in a group that was excluded. If anything, this might serve as notice to those top players. It might be a good idea to start including some of the mid-range heavyweights that we have in the community, so that everybody starts improving a little bit faster.
Yeah, that's how I think. That's literally what I've always thought is SoCal's like biggest detriment as far as being a top region. Like, sure, we have like the top 5 that are really good, but like your strength of the region isn't just the top 5. It's like literally everyone else, and it's only gonna get better if everyone like practices and grinds to improve. But I don't know. I think slowly we're getting towards that point where everyone wants to get better and like wants to like improve with each other.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
this PR season is going to be very interesting to watch for sure.
We gotta do an episode on that. It'll be
It's going to be
some
very
fun
interesting to
drama.
see who's not going to be on. Like, I for sure can tell you, I'd be amazed if Sparkle's on PR, if Kia's on PR, if Zenu might move a couple spots. But like, there are a few names out there that are going to move a little bit lower, and some that are going to move a little bit higher, and some. I'm expecting to see, like, I think Lumbre had a really good tweet. I'm expecting to see like 4 to 6 new PR players, honestly.
I feel like at the rate Luna's going, he's already.
I think Luna is on for sure.
Yeah, like
I'm just off it right
free.
now.
He needs to be consistent, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
but so far he's shown that he only beats top like our ranked players. So he's like, yeah, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's another person that was like doing really well at one local and just doing okay at like the bigger locals, but then now he's just like popping off at every local, so you can't really ignore him anymore.
Yeah. Well, you can't really ignore these. You can't really ignore Luna anymore, and you can't really ignore all these non-ranked players because they're really out there to make their mark on history. So I think that's a pretty good way of just wrapping it up, guys. I think we have a show.
Hey, good job.
Hopefully everyone enjoyed, has a good night. If you have any feedback, tips, advice, comments, drop them in the chat. Of course,
or the YouTube comments.
I was gonna say, of course, if you
Follow
didn't watch this live, or if you're just joining us and you missed out on what's going on, and you're like, "Hey, what's this?" No, this is not the end of a tournament. It's actually a bi-weekly podcast where we talk about Smash topics. So if you didn't catch it here, you can catch it on the channel as well, 2G Gaming. And yeah, that'll be that.
Yeah. I think. Did we miss? I think somebody's birthday passed. Did we miss? I feel like somebody's birthday passed. I wanted to say happy birthday, but I can't remember who.
What?
I'm sorry. I literally had it. I had it in my mind. It was someone's birthday passed. So I wanted to say happy birthday on the podcast, but.
All right, well, happy birthday to that guy. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. Let's call.
That's a perfect way to end it right there.
Someone's birthday anywhere.
Let's call it a show, guys. For AS